Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PSGL here on the PlayStation platform for round number 9 of season 34 here with the guys in F6. My name is, of course, I've been Mike, and I'll be taking you through the action, and joined alongside with me, as always, it is the one, the only, it is Mr. Quinn. Quinn, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, feeling really good. Of course, we're here for the race in Saudi Arabia. Of course, we're not in the lobby yet. Started a little bit early. Just waiting for one more person to come in. And it's gonna be it's very much gonna be an action-packed race here.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, tonight we do go racing in Saudi Arabia. Of course, the Jeddah circuit. 27 corners around this track, 6.1 kilometers in length, and that is it's one of the longer tracks on the calendar, I think, in terms of just pure length. I think Spa definitely one that is ahead of it, but it is one of the longer ones, and this one is a very high speed, high risk, high reward circuit with the walls on the edge of the track so enclosing, as it looks like we are about to get into qualifying in just a moment. But I want to ask you for 1 second, Quinn. Jeddah, what do you think of it as a racetrack in its entirety?
I think it can be quite difficult for overtaking. The only real overtaking spots that you have are in the DRS zones, going into the last corner and then into the first corner. I believe there's only 2. Oh no, there's 3. My bad, there's 3 DRS zones here, but the main overtaking spots really are into the last corner and the first corner, and possibly into the banked chicane. So, in my opinion, you're going to have a lot of what I'd call train tracks. You're just going to have people, well, trains really. You're just going to have a lot of DRS trains, and just you're not going to have much overtakes other than the DRS zones.
Well, if I'm looking at potential opportunities for overtaking, obviously, as you mentioned, down in towards turn 1 with the DRS being a key one, if you get a good enough run out of turn 2 and you get the run into turn 4, maybe you can get an overtake there. It's not advised though, because of how tight that corner is in particular. And of course, getting a good run out of 9 through 10, 11 and 12 will give you an opportunity to go either down the inside or around the outside of turn 13, where the track is a little bit wider, allowing for a bit more of a side-by-side battle. 16, 17, there's that bank chicane that you mentioned earlier, I believe. Another possible overtaking opportunity just before the second DRS straight, running down into turn 22, which is definitely another overtaking opportunity as well. And of course, the final DRS straight running into the final corner, where we do see quite a lot in terms of overtakes happening. Obviously, the first man out on track is ET8 Chris, and he's on a set of the hard compound tyres.
I think that's just going to be for an installation lap.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just going to get his eye in here. As in the chat, we have Omi saying hello, Mike, and hello, Quinn. Hello, Omi. How are you doing on this fine Monday evening?
Chris has got a very interesting helmet there. Fluorescent pink helmet. Definitely stands out.
That it does. And of course, one big thing to note here tonight is our championship leader not here tonight, which of course leaves the door open to King. Obviously, King only 2 points behind in the championship, and you got Fleddy 8.5 points behind him as well. And the same with Tactician. Tactician with a couple of good results lately. A podium last time out in Belgium. Of course, at the end we saw a bit of carnage into the bus stop chicane, where we saw Tactician able to jump up and get himself into he's in P4, but obviously he is tied with Fleddy, who is currently P3. But on board with Chris, he's going to take us on a lap here of Jeddah, running down in towards turn number 1 with DRS wide open. Now through the chicane of 2 and 3 on the exit there. Now running into turn 4. This is why it's not really an overtaking opportunity. Look how close that wall is through turn 4 and now through turn 5. This section of the track is going to be all about just carrying the momentum through as we go through the left hander there of turn 10, of course through 11 and 12 now into the left hander of turn 13. It's going to be so key to make sure you get good traction out of this corner because you can lose the back end relatively easy on the exit of 13 as we run down into turn number 16 now into 17. Again, another key area to try and make sure that you do not lose the back end as we come to the second DRS straight, running down in towards turn number 22 as you see a car in front getting out of the way, breaking down into 22, and once again all about carrying the momentum through these corners. Very high speed, very high risk, high reward, especially with the walls. You can see how tight they are around the track. Any mistake and you will be severely punished. Coming down into the final corner now. Of course, this is not going to be up there in terms of a competitive time, but it is just an installation lap for Chris, and he is going to come to the line, DRS wide open, and he'll do a 1 minute 32.4 to get us underway. But his teammate in behind on a set of softs is King. They're showing a soft lap there at 26.5 early on from the championship challenger.
Yeah, that was good a lap as you can get on the hard tyres here, and with King putting in at 26.5, I was going to mention that my pole time as Chris, lifeboat goes just over half a tenth quicker. But yeah, I was going to say I'm expecting pole to be a low 26, maybe even a high 25 maybe. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the times work down from a 26.5 from lifeboat.
Yeah, of course, I do have to kind of echo that in terms of pole position time. I do believe we'll be seeing low 26s. Maybe someone can get into the 25s, but we'll have to wait and see. Pokerell into the pits, so maybe a mistake on his lap. Alex Marciano, 26.6, pops himself up into P3. Of course, Alex Marciano has had a little bit of a shaky couple of races as of late. Remember, he was here for race number 1 and race number 3. And he won both of those races. He wasn't here for race number 2, 4, 5 or 6. And he came back then for round number 7. Round number 7 at Imola. And obviously he ended up DNF in that race. And of course got a P13 last time out in Spa. So he's definitely looking a bit shaky since he's come back.
Yeah, definitely. I think that extended break that he's had, not sure what the reasons are for it, but yes, definitely took away his momentum from early on in the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more with that. In the chat, obviously, we got MH79 saying Soapbox today for the win for him. And Soapbox, I mean, definitely a driver that could get himself up there. He's been on the teetering edge of some good results so far this season. Of course, I believe last time out, if I can get the standings to show me everything that I need to see, and yeah, you know, a P4, P6 in the last 2 races. Obviously, Soapbox has been on the teetering edge of a podium result in the past couple of races. I mean, could this be his night? Could we see it here in Jeddah?
Well, if we're going by the trends of his results, surely his next result is a P2.
Possibly. We have to wait and see as Miguel comes into the pits. We got Aldo's, looks like he's on a cool down lap. Out laps coming from the likes of Campara, obviously Nassim there in the McLaren, Pokerell in the Williams, and of course we got King out there on another lap, about to get himself underway. Of course, this man, actually, sorry, no, it's not King who's getting himself underway, it was his teammate Aldo coming through the final sector, of course, coming into the pits. But as I was going to say, King, recent races, obviously DNF'd in Japan, P2 in Imola, and P9 in Belgium. It's been a bit up and down for King in the past couple of races.
Yeah, definitely has. But he's always found himself consistently in the points, and to be honest, that's all you really need. And whenever Aguado slipped up, King's always been there to keep it tight in the championship. So it's going to be very close between these two, and King needs to take advantage of Aguado not being here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And another two drivers that need to take advantage of Aguado not being here is, of course, Fleddy. He's currently down in P15, yet to put a lap time on the board, and of course Tactician currently in P6. Now Tactician has been one of the drivers he's done his race, he's stayed out of the way, stayed out of trouble, and he's got himself some good results lately. Obviously P3 last time out in Belgium, managed to get himself a P2 in Austria, yeah, P2 in Austria, and back-to-back P5s in Suzuka and in Imola, so a couple of big results from Tactician, just staying out of trouble and doing his races, put him in a position where he is level on points with Fleddy and only eight and a half points behind the championship leader. So could we be seeing Tactician take another big result here?
Yeah, we could. I'm just on board with Pockerau, and he completely messed up the fast chicane in Sector 3, clipped the inside wall and forced him wide through the chicane, but it's not invalid, but he is going to come into the pits. So it's still got enough, about halfway through this session, so it's got more than enough time to get a lap on the board.
I'm going to cut in right now because King is over 3/10 of a second up on his time as he's coming into the final corner now. This could be that low 26 that you were talking about as Campara crosses the line, goes on provisional pole, but this is going to be beaten now by King as he crosses the line. It's going to be a 26.2 there from King, and a fantastic lap from the Alpine driver and second man in the championship. And of course with Aguado not here tonight, big opportunity to take the championship lead.
Yeah, definitely is. And Nassim in the McLaren puts himself in P5 as it is. And just looking at the tyres, Chris is still on the hard tyres.
I think with Chris, maybe he's on the hards due to a lack of practice here. And he's trying to get his eye in on the hards, making sure that he's confident around this track. I think that's what it is for Chris at the moment. It's just making sure he gets his eye in.
Yeah, I think that might be what it is. And just looking at Lifeboat now, he's making his way through Sector 1, getting very close. He does ride the curb there, so that's his lap effectively ruined, but he was getting very close to the walls. And that's all you need on this track. You need to get as close as you can to the walls, optimise all of the space you can, but yeah, as you were saying, a big snap of oversteer there that's more than likely gonna go into the pits, and that's Tactician.
Yeah, that's what time on track. Looks like he's made a mistake, clipped the wall, and a little bit too much.
Yeah, he's got the inside of, what turn is that? Turn 4, I think. He's got the inside.
Yep,
through that chicane in turn 1. Well, no, the second chicane in Sector 1, he just gone a bit too bad. Well, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, Cassie up to P4 there, both Mercedes coming into the pit lane. Going to try and find someone who's coming to the end of the lap. Looks like Chris is still just going around.
What's happened there? What is Daniel doing? I think he completely missed the pit lane. And he did a little 180 and just made him made his way back into the pits. I don't know why it hasn't disqualified him there.
I wasn't quite on board, so I didn't quite see what happened there with Daniel. But Yeah, you gotta be aware, especially in qualifying, to make sure that you don't do stuff like that, so that you don't really destroy anyone's qualifying session. Of course, Tactician, the only man out of the session at the moment, he's currently down in P12, but we've seen this before with Tactician. He just stays out of trouble, he just does his race, and he finds himself in good results at the end of it. Soapbox, I believe, also on a cooldown lap, as is Chris. I mean, you got Pokeral out there. Is he on a flying lap? He is using, and it looks like he is on a flying lap. So we'll see on board with the man in the Williams as he comes through the middle sector now, and we will see what his middle sector split is. Of course, he hasn't set a lap time yet, so needs to get something on the board. We have, I believe, around about 5 minutes in the session. Yes, we've just gone below 5 minutes remaining in the session. Pokeral getting brave with the track limits, and of course that is going to be another key thing in this race, because as easy as it is to just knock off a bit of your front wing by getting too close to the wall, it's also very easy to pick up warnings around you as well.
Yeah, definitely is, and it looks like he is going to be completing his lap. It's a 27.0, so up into P12 for Pokeral, and yeah, I think everyone else, well, yeah, Fleddy's into the pits, and Pokeral's going to be coming round into the pits. So into the last 4 minutes here, everyone is going to be gearing up for their last run. And yeah, it's quite a mixed up grid from what we usually see. We usually see the likes of Daniel up there in the top 5. We usually see Fleddy as well. Aldo's been a surprise in the last few races, being up there in the top 6. But yeah, both of the McLarens are up there in the top 8, and both of the Haas.
Yeah, fantastic from both of the teams so far. What I was going to do was obviously, well, we was on a little bit of a cooldown time, because everyone now is just coming out on their outlaps for their final runs. I figured there'd be a beautiful time to go ahead and run us through the championship standings as it currently stands. So Aguado currently leading the championship, not here tonight, on 54 points to his name. You got King, who is here currently on provisional pole. He's on 52 points in second place in the championship. And then we have Fleddy in third on 45.5 points. Same amount of points as Tactician in fourth on 45.5 points. Aiden in the McLaren currently in fifth in the standings on 44 points, so very close between the top 5, only 10 points separating first down to fifth. We have Owen on 37 points in 6th place, Miguel on 33 points in 7th, Lifeboat in 8th in the standings on 29 points, Daniel on 27 points in 9th, and Alex Marciano on 24 points, rounding out the top 10. And outside of that, we have Soapbox on 19 points in 11th, Yanel on 18 points in 12th, Luke and Nick on the same amount of points as Yanel, but he's down in 13th in the standings, 16 points for Peter Vol in 14th, Compara on 11 points in 15th, Jerome on 9 points in 16th, Stretch, Chris also down in 17th and 18th on 6 points apiece. Clue and Pokeral on 4 points each, 2.5 points for Liam, and then 1 point for Nassim in 22nd place, the last man to get a point, as I believe Clue is the first man who has gone ahead and started a lap. I'm going to wait to see who that was crossing the line, and it was actually King, so I'm actually going to go on board with King, because this could be the lap time that does put it on pole position. So we'll stay on board with King for the time being. I don't know if you want to jump on board with the likes of Compara, maybe Lifeboat and that, because they seem to be the closest challengers right now to King.
Yep, can do.
Yeah, so on board with King as we fly through the first sector. Is this going to be up in Sector 1? And he's a 10th up in Sector 1. Could we be seeing a 26 flat from King, or could we be seeing the fabled 25s? I mean, we did say potentially someone will make it. Will that guy be RCR King? Coming through the middle sector now. Second, DRS straight fast approaching, as DRS will now be activated. running down in towards turn 22. Over 200 miles an hour, breaking down, still over a 10th up, and just runs a little bit onto the curb. That would cost him just a little bit of time. He wasn't as smooth through that corner as he was on the previous lap, but now running down in towards the final corner on this track. Needs a good run and a good launch out of the corner. Little bit of a tap on the wall, I believe, there, but DRS will be wide open. King comes to the line. Is he going to improve? He is. It's going to be a 26-0, so he has improved massively out there, and he is now over 4 times clear of the rest of the pack. You've got Lifeboat, Compara, all on a lap. Lifeboat tapping the wall. A little bit out of shape. Aiden. Let's see what Aiden can do. He's coming to the first sector split. Daniel crosses the line, goes up into P2. So there you go. You mentioned Daniel always been up there in the end, and he was up there. Nassim up there as well. Only 100th of a second between those two. Incredibly close between these guys as Soapbox now up into P2. We're seeing new guys joining King on the front row every time someone crosses the line. But who will be the last man to get that lap time in?
Yeah, it looks like Compara's about just under half a tenth down on his time, and Chris was about the same. So it doesn't look like, Compara's in the pits. Let's see what Lifeboat can do as he just comes around the final corner. Has a little bit of a rear end step out there. There is a Haas coming up to the line. Alex puts himself
Alex
there.
Oh,
Aldo! Lifeboat up into P3. Stretch is in P2. Alex
Pocorel.
P5. They have Pocorel, who
I believe
was
he'll be the last one.
up. He was 4 tenths up. Only P10. Nearly 5.5 tenths up for Pocorel. And Aldo, he had some contact. He had some contact with Daniel as well, so that's going to drop him back to. Well, that's going to drop him to the back of the field, and he's the only person left out on track. He has run out of fuel, so that's why he's going slow. He's gone off to the runoff area.
Well, I mean, that is, of course, going to bring an end to the session. So it is King who takes pole position. Stretch joins him on the front row. At the end there, we had so many people jumping up into P2. It was incredible. I mean, Compara was originally in P2, then Daniel jumped him, then Nassim jumped him, then we had Soapbox jump him. Lifeboat managed to get a time out of there. Honestly, I was on board for Lifeboat in that first sector. It didn't look too good from him because he did look like he lost the car a little bit, so I thought he was going to be quite considerably down on his time for the remainder of that qualifying session. But Stretch also getting himself up there as well, and predictions were low 26s, potentially into the 25s on this grid, and we did get the low 26s. We got MH in the chat saying strong lap times. Absolutely, and we can't ignore that as Aldo retires on the session. He looks like he put into the pit lane entry wall, and that's going to catch a few people out as well. We haven't actually spoken about the pit lane entry and how difficult that's going to be for these guys navigate in racing conditions as well, because you want to be losing as little time as possible. But we'll run you through the order one more time, and it is RCR King who takes pole position by over a tenth to Stretch, who joins him on the front row. Then of course we got Lifeboat in P3 with Soapbox in P4. P5 goes to Alex Marciano, Nassim in P6, Daniel in P7, Compara in P8, Aiden in P9, and Pocorel rounded out the top 10. So less than half a second between first and 10th place. Then we got Miguel in 11th, Fleddy in 12th, 13th goes to the Cassie, 14th for Aldo, 15th for Clue, Tactician DNF'd early in the session in 16th, and then we got Chris in 17th, going to be bringing up the rear of the grid. And the one thing I wanted to point out as well, and you know, this is one of those things also, it is good to point out how close it was from Lifeboat down to Daniel. Obviously that's P3 down to P7. There was around about a tenth between those drivers. That's incredibly close.
Yes, definitely close, and you always get that in this tier. And hopefully if the actual race is as entertaining as the qualifying session, then we'll be in for a treat tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As I believe we're actually going to have a
Okay.
lobby reset because potentially we have seen a glitch happen as everyone is leaving the session. So we will just confirm that in the F6 chat, and yeah, restart. It is confirmed we will have a restart here in F6, and of course essentially that's just going to be to make sure that the grid is all sorted. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have everything set up to send over a screenshot of the qualifying results for our lobby host. So if you guys will bear with me just a short moment, and I'll get this all sorted for us now. Right, so getting the screenshots in. Of course, while we are waiting, I mean, we can talk about what's called how the season has gone so far, and yeah, it's been a tale of ups and downs so far this season. I mean, early on, Fleddy was showing strong pace, but wasn't converting it in the race due to either incidents or just falling off at the end. You had Lifeboat, who early on in the season just couldn't seem to get that result that he needed. You had a Tactician who was at the tail end of the top 10 for the first 4 races, and then in the second half of the season so far, I mean, he has really come unglued. Same with Aiden as well, for that matter. So we've had a couple of drivers have a slow start, and now they're starting to build up. But I don't think we've seen anyone that's kept it completely consistent throughout the season so far, except maybe. I mean, I would say Miguel, because Miguel has been consistently as a top 10 finisher, but not really like top 5 finishes that often.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there. I just think the only person who was super consistent, well, before the last couple races was Aguada. I think in the first, what was it, first 6 races he was really consistent, and then in the last 2 races he just got unlucky and involved in incidents,
Well, I
which,
mean, I'll run you through Aguado's results so far. Obviously, he managed to get a P2 in Brazil, P2 in Bahrain. He got a P7 in Silverstone. Then back-to-back race wins at Qatar and Austria. And then in the last 3 races, it's all gone horribly wrong for him. A P12 in Suzuka, a P13 in Imola, and a P12 in Belgium. So it has all fallen away from him. And of course, speaking of Belgium, we can take you through what ended up happening at the end of Belgium. So it was Owen who did take victory for the Ferraris in Belgium. Daniel and Tactician were the other 2 drivers who joined Owen on the podium. Then, of course, we had Luke and Nick coming home in P4 with Aiden in P5. Soapbox did come through in P6, although there was a bit of controversy at the end of that race, and it did involve Soapbox. He was involved in that. Of course, you had Miguel as well coming through in Lifeboat in P7. Miguel in P8. King came through in P9, and then we had Nassim coming through in P10, and of course outside the top 10 we had Pocorel and Aguado, and then we had Alex Marciano, who was 2 laps down. So I believe he lagged out the session at some point as well, if I remember correctly off the top of my head.
I can't remember. I can't remember, being honest.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna check to see if we have new invites, and it looks like we're going to join them real quick now. So we will be back in the session once again and getting ourselves underway. Of course, we got all 17 drivers here. Both myself and Quinn are here as well. So, I believe once we get signal, we can jump in and get back to it. And it looks like we are going once again. So 25 laps awaiting these drivers out on track. And what I'm going to do, Quinn, is I'm going to press you for a podium prediction.
I am going to say King wins, then Daniel P2, Aiden P3.
I'm going to go completely different. I'm going to say today is Lifeboat's time. Lifeboat for the win. I'm going to go Soapbox P2. And I'm going to go Nassim P3. I'm going to go for an all-new podium here. I'm going to be a fan favourite and go for an all-new podium.
Because I just think because everyone's so close, you could pick, well, anyone, any three drivers, and there's a possibility that it could happen. Just everyone on this grid is so close in pace. We know that there's some people who have better race pace. Basically, Tactician, his race pace is otherworldly compared to his qualifying pace at seemingly every track that we've been to. So, yeah, I'm fully expecting Tactician to have a good race here. Well, I think he'll finish 5th.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Tactician does have a habit of coming through the field and getting a good result at the end of the race. So we'll see if he can do that again here tonight. Of course, we are making sure that everyone does remember their race setups. They do not want to be going into this with the default setup supplied by the game, because that would be quite horrible to race around. But yep, here we go now to those 5 red lights to get us underway here for round number 9 in Saudi Arabia. And it's lights out and we are underway. King gets off the line pretty well. And of course, let's look at the tyre compound selection there for everyone as stretches down the inside. He's on a set of soft tyres. He's side by side now with Lifeboat coming through turn 2. As in behind you got Soapbox and Alex Marciano side by side, wheel to wheel as they run down in towards turn number 4. Lifeboat does get up. A little bit of contact there as Stretch hits the back of Lifeboat, and Lifeboat goes into a little bit of a half spin. That's given King a 1.5 second gap early on in this race, but my god, the battling is already happening well and truly early as Stretch once again is going to have a look down the inside of Lifeboat into turn 13. Job done there for Stretch. Much better this time around. And look at Soapbox. Soapbox trying to get in the mix as well as Nassim's up to P5. Managed to get through on Alex Marciano. So there we go. Off the line. King gets away clear. Stretch and Lifeboat get tangled up with each other. And everyone now is going to be funneling through and looking for overtaking opportunities as Fleddy and Aiden battling out for P9 there. 2 drivers who we're not used to seeing that far down the order, but looking to try and get their way back up. As look at this, Freddy really trying to press Aiden here, and he's actually going to be under pressure now from Miguel. Up ahead you see Campara and Daniel going side by side as they run down into the final corner.
Oh, Fleddy!
Fleddy does get that move done and will.
Oh, cool. Cool. Oh, he gets past as well. That optimistic move from Fleddy opened up the door and it looks like,
free wide. Not free wide. My
Oh no
God,
no no!
I'm glad Freddie backed out of that. But look
Woo!
at Cool getting through up into P9, and now we got Fleddy and Aiden side by side into turn 4. This is where it's dangerous, going side by side through here. The wall is ever enclosing through turn 4, but they both managed to navigate that very well indeed. And Fleddy back up into P10, Cool up into P9, and on those medium tyres looking to make moves quite quickly. Campara trying to close up to the back of Daniel, as everyone now is in a DRS train apart from the man in the race lead, King, but he is getting closed in by Stretch on those soft tyres.
Yeah, he's really showing some good pace, is King, and well, Stretch on the softs. It's interesting to see him choose the soft tyres because actually around here, because it's such a high-speed circuit, there's not really many heavy braking zones. So you're not really leaning on the tyres much, and yeah, the soft tyres can actually last quite a long time around here. So
There
it's
we go. There's
very
the
brave strategy call there.
yeah, possible race strategies coming up in the bottom, lap 10 to 12 for a soft medium strategy, and lap 14 I believe I said there for the medium hard strategy, as Daniel and Alex Marciano about to do battle into turn 1. Daniel's going to stick in behind. DRS has now been activated here as Campara and Fleddy there battling through turn 1, and Campara picks up a 3-second time penalty. Fleddy's through, Aiden's through, so is Miguel. Campara, one mistake, loses 3 positions, and that's how easy it is done around this circuit. One mistake and it can cost you everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's just the nature of how this circuit is, because it's such a high-speed circuit. One mistake and you can see yourself plummet down the order. But I like the colour coordination of the Ferrari the Campara's got. He's got obviously the yellow bit on the Ferrari as they go side by side, Aldo and Campara, but Aldo just slips in ahead. Yeah, it helps that Campara's got the medium tyres with the yellow stripe on it. It works well with the Ferrari.
Yeah, a Stretch now onto the back of King for the race lead. DRS will help him down into the final corner. 1.7 is the gap between Soapbox and Stretch. That is going to grow by around about 2 tenths as the Lifeboat gets through as well on Soapbox. So those two trading positions. Stretch now, is he going to make this move on King here? He's got to go for it. He's absolutely going for it. He's going to fly past the Alpine, into the race lead goes Stretch as Soapbox comes back through on Lifeboat once again. So both of these guys going to be trading DRS with each other and trading the positions over. You got Nassim in there, the Welshman, trying to get himself up the order as well. He's currently behind these two, and honestly, my 3 predictions for the podium currently looking good right now in P3, P4, P5.
Yeah, I think mine isn't doing too well at the moment. Of course, King in P2, when they got Daniel and Aiden in 9th and 10th. But yeah, it's a bold strategy call from Stretch to go soft medium, but I feel like that may have been overlooked from everyone else. But then again, everyone else on the harder mediums, they're going to be most likely going to the softs for their last stint, so they're going to have a big advantage on Stretch, having less fuel and being on a faster tyre overall, as Daniel gets moved done on Fleddy, so up into P8 for Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel getting that move done 1 second off the back of Clue, and it's important that they do manage to get themselves up the order, as we're seeing Lifeboat get back through on Soapbox. As King closes up to the back of Stretch, unable to make that move. And this is what I mean, that the Lifeboat and Soapbox are just going to DRS each other. And here goes King for the race lead once again. Gets through back into the race lead. And this is the issue, as Soapbox back again, going down the inside into turn 1 on Lifeboat. Once again trading positions. Nassim trying to look for a opportunity to try and get through as well. Alex Marciano in the mix. Clue on a set of medium tyres in the mix as well. The highest of the medium runners. Only 3 medium runners in total. That is Clue, Campara and the Cassie. Cassie and Campara down in 13th and 14th, so it's not looking good for them too as it currently stands. But Clue currently finds himself on a set of mediums, but in a DRS train right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened. I think the leaderboard was glitching a little bit. It said Aldo was at the back of the field on 2-lap-old tyres. But now it's gotten back up, and it says 4 laps now, so that's the F1 game for you.
Well, I am wondering if those soft tyres are already gone off, because Stretch has fallen away from King a bit, and he's outside that 1 second window already.
I think maybe he was just pushing a bit too hard too early on the soft tyres, and yeah, it's just sort of drained the life out of him, I reckon.
He is going to stick it out here, and of course he will not have DRS running down into turn number 1 this time around, and Soapbox will. Will Nassim try to follow him through this time? Nassim down the inside of Lifeboat into turn 1. The chicane, everyone bunches up. Nassim unable to make a move. Alex Marciano in the background as well, trying to look for an opportunity to get through and take advantage of opportunities in front of him. But Nassim now putting Lifeboat under a bit of pressure here. And you got Soapbox now currently obviously trading positions back and forth with Lifeboat lap after lap. Nassim wants to be that guy at the front of the train.
Well, it looked like Daniel made a bit of a mistake going through the last chicane in Sector 1. Yeah, he went off on the curb on the right hand side and went on to the little runoff area there, which is quite common here, but he's still ahead of Fleddy, still within DRS range of Cool in P7, but we see Lifeboat getting past Soapbox, utilising the DRS zone. Goes a little bit wide on the end. And yeah, this is going to open up the door for Soapbox. Is there going to be a little bit... Oh no, Soapbox decides to just get the move done. So it looks like Lifeboat will get a second helping of DRS here.
Soapbox
he
goes
went very deep. Very deep, but Lifeboat's got the second helping of DRS.
Neither of them have it. They don't have it. So here comes Nassim. Double overtake for P3 in this race. Nassim down the inside of the pair of them. Both Lifeboat and Soapbox crossed the line at the same time, so neither of them got the DRS to be able to defend or pull clear. So Nassim there jumps ahead of the pair of them. Up into P3 goes the Welshman in the McLaren.
Yeah, that was highly unfortunate for Lifeboat and Soapbox crossing the DRS detection line at exactly the same time, so they didn't even... So neither of them... Yeah, very unfortunate, but there's still a 2-second gap that the team has to try and claw back to Stretch, and albeit the soft tyres don't look favourable for Stretch at the moment, they seem to be hanging on because he's not really lost any time to King. He's only lost about a tenth or two in the last few laps.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we made a little bit of prediction that maybe he's burned out his tyres a bit too quick, but I don't think so. I think possibly what he's done is he has just used so much ERS that he's left himself vulnerable, and King has managed to get through us. We've got Alex Marciano around the outside of Soapbox, so P5. Nassim has been overtaken by Lifeboat with DRS, as now we run down into turn 1. Soapbox and Alex Marciano going to be line the stern heading into turn 1 as Alex moves over to try and have a little look down the inside of the McLaren, but unable to do so thus far. Lifeboat still holds on to P3, and that's the first time in a long time down into turn 1 that we've seen someone hold on, let's say, to their position.
Yeah, definitely, and we saw Nassim's going really wide. Contact! Oh, Nassim, no, Nassim. Oh my, okay.
The game...
Thankfully there is ghosting on, thankfully.
The game gave me a horrible angle for that. It gave me an onboard angle of Alex as Nassim was coming back onto the track.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very lucky that ghosting is on. If it wasn't, that would have been a huge incident. But yeah, Nassim, he tried to get back onto track, but just went straight on to the track in the way of, well, just collided with Alex.
Yeah, obviously this is such a fast-paced circuit that you have to be so cautious when you're coming back on because the pace everyone's coming around at is enough to absolutely spin you around without issues. And obviously, neither driver wants that to happen, of course, but it does happen from time to time, especially in situations like this on a track like this. And now I want to bring this up. Lifeboat closing in on Stretch, and Stretch beginning to fall away again from King.
Yeah, definitely, and there's a little bit of a stretching of the pack going on, at least at the front, where the front, well, Stretch, Lifeboat and Soapbox haven't got DRS at all, but then you've got Alex who's getting, well, just over half a second, sorry, behind Soapbox. The Soapbox is just trying to claw his way back in
He's
to
got it.
DRS range.
He's got it. Soapbox getting into the DRS there, so absolutely perfect from Soapbox. The issue for Soapbox is that, of course, now he has DRS, he can close up to the back of Lifeboat, and the issue that Lifeboat is going to have is he's actually lost a bit of time to Stretch in that middle sector, so not sure what has happened with Stretch there, possibly a very bad exit out of one of the chicanes. But that is just going to bring him under pressure now from Soapbox. But the thing I was going to say is, these guys, they're battling instead of helping each other by DRS training each other up the stretch up ahead.
Yeah, definitely, but I think the main thing for these guys is just to try and get in. Well, obviously they want to try and get up to the back of Stretch and King, as that's
Oh,
Campora.
Campora.
Campora, he's retired in the pit lane. I
Heartbreak.
believe he's retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's in the pit lane. Heartbreak for the Scuderia Ferrari here tonight. Unable to get to the checkered flag. 10 laps in, we have our first retiree of the session. It is, of course, Campora. And heartbreak for him. Meanwhile, obviously, we've got two drivers that have made early pit stops, and that is Nassim and Chris. Of course, Nassim had the incident that we saw a few moments ago. Chris has been... I don't think Chris has been enjoying this race thus far. He didn't look very confident in qualifying, and in the race it hasn't been much confidence from him either. So I think lack of practice coming into tonight for Chris.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case for him. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Very unfortunate for him. As you see Daniel getting past Cool near enough. He does, and I think Cool will get DRS on him, but of course Daniel will have the aid of DRS on Alex.
Stretch is in.
Yeah, Stretch is coming from the soft, so he's going to be putting on the medium tyres, I am guessing. That may force the hand of King, because he was there or thereabouts a second behind, so it may well force the hand of King to pit in.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to see if it is going to force the hand, or if King's going to have confidence in his original strategy in taking it as long as possible before going on to a set of the softs at the end. But Stretch, as you mentioned, he is on a set of mediums, and to be honest, I even think that what's called the hard mediums is still the better strategy to go on if you're King or Soapbox.
Yeah.
Stretch, obviously, he's going to be trying to take these tyres now. 115 laps as Nassim gets past Chris for P15. It's going to take a lot of effort for Stretch to hold on with those tyres at the end of this race.
Yeah, it will, but they're in better stead than Nassim and Chris's tyres at the moment, as seeing Pockerow and Miguel fighting away. Oh, contact. A little
That's
bit
going
of
to
contact.
allow
That
Aldo.
opens the door for Aldo.
Ooh,
Threading the
Aldo
needle between the two.
goes one way, goes
Gonna.
the other. Down the inside here goes Aldo, and his job done for the Alpine. Actually, no, it's not. He ran a
Oh.
little bit deep on the exit. Pocorello gets him back. Alex Marciano is into the pits. So is Fleddy as well. As we got Pocorello and Aldo coming down into turn
Oh,
one. Look at Miguel.
Miguel.
Miguel down the inside of Pocorello. Up into P8 goes the Mercedes. And he is absolutely on it like a proverbial car bonnet right now.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah, what like you said, Alex, Cassie, and Fleddy all into the pits, and all of them just coming out now. Alex choosing to go for the mediums, Cassie for the hards, and Fleddy also for the mediums as he comes out side by side with Nassim. Nassim's not too far behind. He is going to be on fresher tyres, but he do see that red light flashing. Means he's out of VRS and he's only dropped back a second from the Red Bull man.
Well, here's something I think is quite telling. I believe Fleddy had his front wing changed because he wasn't that far behind Alex before coming into the pits.
Yeah.
And he was ahead of Cassie on track as well before coming into the pits. So that's a front wing change for Fleddy. So that might...
Oh, Nassim.
Yeah.
Nassim on the cold tyres. Sorry to cut in there, but actually no, it's on the warm tyres.
Daniel has lost a huge amount of time in the pit lane. He came into the pits absolutely sliding into the pits and he got reset at the pit lane start. So he's lost a lot of time coming into the pits. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Cassie jump up ahead of Daniel here. Maybe even Fleddy as well. As
we come like through. Alex has. Looks like they're just coming down the pit straight now. It doesn't look like they will. Daniel's just about got out ahead of even Aiden. As that's Nassim. Nassim in the pit lane.
The Cassie on the back of Tactician, but Daniel there taking alternative lines through the first sector and not the kind of lines you want to be taking if you are the Mercedes driver, and if you are getting caught on stream doing that, then there needs to be a good reason for it. Miguel trying to close up to the back of Aldo for P5. You got Soapbox trying to close up to the back of Lifeboat for P2. And by the way, the gap to the race leaders have closed down. It's 2.4 now.
Yeah, Lifeboat's putting in a good stint, but he's going to be in. Soapbox is in as well. Cool is staying out.
I think he's going to try and do medium soft.
Yeah, I think that could definitely be the case for Cool. Pocorello is still out as well, so both Williams.
Yep, both Williams going deep. Going deep.
They both haven't pit, but puts him fastest lap of the race so far for the two Haas boys. That's Daniel with a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Daniel with a 3-second time penalty, but one thing I was going to bring up as well is look at the gap between Alex and Lifeboat. Now, that
Fleddy.
gap... Yep, Fleddy around, but what I was going to say, that gap between Alex Marciano and Lifeboat is much or less the same as the gap that we saw between Lifeboat and King before the pit stop. So I think Alex is going to jump King here.
Yeah, it definitely could. That's Chris. Chris is just all over the curb and he gets 3-second time penalty for it. And yeah, King's just go for the long run. He's going for the long game, trying to stretch these hards to get to a soft stint. And I think Cool and Pocorello doing the same. But with those two being teammates, they have to pick and choose when they... Cool is staying out. But gonna have to see with Pockerel. He stays out as well. Just gonna go on board with Stretch. He's gonna jump
Alright.
King, and Alex is gonna jump him as well.
Yep, and Daniel on
Daniel puts in
lifeboat.
the fastest lap.
King coming out of the pit lane right now. He's going to come out just ahead of lifeboat. So that's how much
Oh,
time he's lost.
yeah, it's about just under 2 seconds. Well, 1.7 behind Alex, but he is on medium tyres. I think the two Williams might be going to softs because you can't see Cool going to the hards from here.
No, absolutely
So I
not.
think
And
he's definitely going to be going for softs as Chris and Aldo are into the pits. Aldo opting for mediums and Chris opting for mediums as well, getting a wing change.
well, we got lifeboat doing everything he can to stay with King here, because now lifeboat can get towed along by King as King tries to close up to the back of Alex Marciano for effectively where's P2 in this race, because Stretch has already made a pit stop. So Stretch is currently in the net race lead as he's closing up to the back of Pokerel. His tyres will drop away towards the end of this race compared to the rest of the grid, that is for sure. A little bit of a love tap on the inside in the final corner. Cool is into the pit lane.
Oh, I saw him hit the the wall on the pit lane. Hoping he doesn't have any wing damage. Yeah, Pockerel in what is currently the race lead, but Stretch is practically going to be pushing him through every corner. As, yeah, Cool is on the soft tyres. He was looking good, but because he's just extended so long, found himself in P10.
Still points.
Yeah, still points, but just gotta hope for Stretch that he gets past. Oh! Whoa! Contact between Stretch and Pockerel. A little bit of contact as Stretch tried to go for the dive bomb into the hairpin, but it just wasn't able to get it. And Pockerel closed the door just as Stretch was trying to line up the move, and yeah, unfortunately, I believe Pockerel has some damage, but yeah, he's understeering like
Yeah, but look
crazy.
at Alex coming through now. He needs to be so careful here. We got the race leaders beginning to come through, and this could cause absolute carnage here. As look at King. King's going to go for a move on Alex here.
Yeah,
Around the
but
outside.
you know what Alex is doing here? He's playing the game of chicken for DRS. We've seen this before.
I mean, we have seen it before as Pokewell does peel off into the pit lane, but Alex not really using his DRS, so
Ooh.
he's actually fine staying, I guess, because he knows his teammates in the race lead right now. He's not trying to help King get towed along there.
Yeah, but now Alex just has to keep with King here as
Oh,
that is
Stretch is out!
Stretch.
Stretch is out, and that's a safety car. Stretch in the race lead crashes out DNS from this race and has triggered a safety car here, lap 17. That is huge for the likes of Clue because soft tyres are going to be so much better now.
Where?
And we're going to find out who is going to be making a pit stop and going on to soft tyres now.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Pockerel
Yeah.
because he was in the pits changing his wing and his tyres, and he had already changed onto the medium tyres. And I guarantee everyone else, once they get round, is going to be changing to the softs. So that is so unfortunate for Pockerel.
I mean, yeah, Pokewell had to come in and get his front wing changed. Obviously, can't predict a pit stop coming out like can't predict a safety car coming out like that. But of course, this is one of those tracks where it's so fast. The margin for error is so small that any small mistake and it can end in a DNF. And Stretch has just shown us that right there firsthand in the first sector. It's so free flowing, but it can be so lethal. Will we see anyone dive into the picture? Lap 17 of 25. Yes, they are all in. as King, Alex Marciano, Lifeboat, Soapbox, Daniel, and obviously Kalu is on fresh sauce, so he might actually stay out, and he is going to stay out. Kalu could be taking the race lead by you.
It looks like he will. There will be 2 laps fresh, well, 2 laps older than everyone else's tyres. However, it should be good. Well, you might have a little bit of a pace deficit from King, Alex, everyone else. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Pocoral's staying out, I believe. Yeah, Pocoral's staying out
Yeah,
on the mediums.
Pocoral stays out, obviously, wants to try and get as many positions back as possible, but his teammate, Cool, up there in the race lead. Obviously, as you mentioned, his tyres are a little bit older than everyone else's, but he only did one proper lap on those tyres before the safety car came out, so really, there's not a huge amount of difference between his tyres and obviously King's and Alex's and everyone. So effectively, Cool is on for a big result here. King is currently in P2, and the question is for King is, can he get his second race win of the season? The last time he stood on the top step of the podium was round number 2 in Bahrain. That was the last time we saw King take victory. Alex Marciano, we saw 2 race wins for him, one at round 1 and one at round 3 in Brazil and Silverstone. Will this be his 3rd race win of the season? No one's won 3 races so far this season. It could be Alex's 3rd win here tonight. Lifeboat, could he be looking at a race win? Lifeboat managed to get a podium in Imola. Obviously, he got so close in Belgium, but late contact stopped him from getting a big result there, and Lifeboat could be looking at a potential podium here tonight. Soapbox, also another driver yet to step on the top step of the podium, or even on the podium at all. Could this be Soapbox time?
Yeah, so many questions need to be answered in these last few laps of this race. And to be honest, it's an unlikely leader in this race at the moment. Cool in P1, albeit 2 lap older tyres like I mentioned before, but in the long run, he's only had one fast lap, one actual lap on these tyres. The other 2 laps have been an out lap and 1 lap behind the safety car.
Well, I'm going to say this now. I just looked at the chat, and Compara has put in it, pretty good race, fellas. Didn't take setup for restart. So that is why Compara was struggling in the race. He forgot to load his setup, which of course is an absolute shame, because there's nothing worse than forgetting to load your setup when we have a restart lobby. But yeah, that is confirmation there of what happened with Compara. Of course, we did see Nassim come into the pits and retire from the session. We saw Fleddy crash out as well. Same with Stretch. We have 13 drivers remaining in the session. 2 drivers with time penalties. One being Daniel, currently up in P6. The other being Chris, who's in P13, down at the back of the field with a time penalty. It's not looking good for Chris, but Chris in tonight's race hasn't really looked on it. He's looked well and truly uncomfortable with the track, to say the least.
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely has. And yeah, going back to your point on Kumbura, you couldn't have really picked a worse track to not have your setup for. As safety car is in this lap, and we have Cool waiting to get this race back underway. It did have a sizable gap to King, so did have a gap of about 6/10, which is a sizable gap, and yeah, just waiting for everyone to get around to the final corner if you want to take this restart.
Yeah, so waiting on King to get himself underway here on this restart. He really is leaving it quite late as King looks a little bit impatient, looking to try and get a good restart here. Has to be careful of Alex Marciano in behind, and now we are back racing once again. Ku has gone, and he hasn't really caught King napping, but King holding that gap, responding well as we have drivers weaving, trying to have a look for a move into turn one. No moves being made thus far. Soapbox getting close to the back of Lifeboat once again. These two have been battling all race thus far. The Alpha Charity and the Red Bull Racing Car, the sister teams, doing battle. But now Soapbox under pressure from Daniel, who's right behind him, pushing him through this first sector. Can Daniel get a good run here and potentially make a move for P5 on track? He's using a bit of ERS, but he's not wanting to use it all. Meanwhile, Tactician on the back of Pokerella as Ku loses a spot to King as King goes through into the race lead down the inside into turn 13. Job done for the man in the Alpine.
Yeah, it's just looking like the fresher tyres of everyone else is catching up to Cool now, as he's got Alex Marciano right on the back of him. He's gonna want to dispatch of Cool as quick as he can. He is on the button, he is using his ERS to try and get a move done, try and catch up. Bit of defending there from Cool, but he moves over to the right, opens the door for Alex. Very late on the brakes there for Alex.
Lifeboat on the exit, he's trying to get past Cool as well. As I believe, yeah, there we go. I think Alex will try and give Cool the slipstream to try and make sure that Lifeboat does not follow him through. But Lifeboat down the inside into turn one. Job done for the AlphaTauri as he manages to hold on to P3 and gets past Cool. Now Soapbox needs to get through, and this is a horrible place to try and look for an overtake in Sector 1. The walls so unforgiving. You have to be so precise if you are going to look for a move in Sector 1. Of course, not an ideal place to go for a move, but if he gets a good run out here on his ERS button, he could maybe have a look into turn 13. A little bit too far back though, in my opinion.
Yeah, just looking at Alex now, he's trying to keep with King as much as he can.
Daniel taking a tighter line through turn 13. They're going to be side by side coming into... this is fantastic stuff, and look at this. Soapbox able to defend from Daniel through the middle sector, and Daniel really trying to get this move done ASAP. He knows what it means to get up the order as fast as possible. We're on lap 21 of 25. Daniel with a 3-second time penalty, trying to look for moves left, right and centre. Clue getting a little bit out of shape. That's going to allow Soapbox now to go for a move, and Soapbox is going to run through, but will Daniel follow suit? Daniel is going to try and follow suit, but a little bit of a movement there from Clue. It's going to put him off slightly, but down the inside goes Daniel on the Williams driver. Up into P5 goes Daniel, and now we've got Miguel in behind. Miguel has used quite a lot of his ERS, but up ahead, Alex Marciano getting close to the back of King, as I believe that was DRS enabled once again on this lap. So we shall see if King has the pace to hold on to the race lead, as Alex Marciano half a second behind. He does have Lifeboat in behind him. Lifeboat looking for his first race win of the season, his second podium of the season. Alex Marciano looking for 3 wins in total this season. Of course, he would be the only person with 3 wins, and King looking for his second win of the season, which will obviously make Aguado obviously not too happy that he had to miss tonight, because Aguado came in championship leader. King takes the win here. It's going to be a long final stint of the season for Aguado to try and come back here.
Yeah, King is really starting to pull away from Alex now. Just over 8 tenths. We're just under now. Looks like Alex actually has a more straight line speed orientated setup, as he's not even using his ERS and he's closing up quite quickly on King.
Oh, here comes Daniel on Soapbox.
Yeah,
around the outside in the final corner. Can the Mercedes get down? Maybe look for a little switch
to get
back.
a better line. Oh, beautiful there from Daniel. And I think he gets a DRS as well. He does. So P4 secured. And Alex, yeah, he's just still sticking behind.
Aiden getting through on Clue in behind, and Miguel as Miguel unable to get through on clue for P6. Obviously now Aiden up in the P6. Miguel still behind the Williams man, as he has a little bit of a wiggle on there. Can Miguel get through? He's going a little bit wide.
Alex. This is really bad for Alex. He had a little bit of a moment coming through the squiggly, well, all of the chicanes right at the start. He had a little bit of a moment, and yeah, that little bit of a moment has caused him to drop back half a second from King, and now he's outside of DRS range. But now he's on the button, he's on the ERS, trying to get back in to DRS range, and he does. And the setup that he's got on is really helping him out here on the straights.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is exactly what Alex needed to get back within DRS of King there. King is down to less than 10% battery now. Alex is just floating around 10%. There's the flash of red light that Alex would have been looking for. And now Alex can play the waiting game now. Just sit in behind King, save up your battery a bit, and then pick your opportunity to go for the move. But also you got Lifeboat in behind as well, who potentially can try and make an overtake happen. Miguel trying to get through on Clue once again down in towards turn 1. Clue actually has a fantastic car in a straight line, but seems to be struggling through the corners a little bit, as you've got Cassie and Pokerell side by side, the softs versus the mediums. As we come through towards turn number 4, Pokerell gets that position up in the P10 goes the Williams man. So it's double points finishes so far for the Williams team, as it is for the Mercedes pairing. But will that stay as it is, or will we see any more changes in this race? Miguel really putting pressure on Clue for P7. Aiden obviously lost touch with Soapbox up ahead. Soapbox has lost touch with Daniel, so I'm wondering if Soapbox maybe has a bit of a wing issue, or did he just lose that much time behind Clue? I think he might have just lost that much time behind the Williams. But yeah, the top 4 beginning to bunch up once again. Daniel with that 3-second time penalty. It's similar to what we saw in Suzuka. Daniel having great pace, but unable to take advantage of it due to a time penalty, as Alex Marciano not really wanting to use the ERS.
Yeah, he's not using DRS.
Yeah,
he wasn't using his DRS through there. He wanted to stay behind King to get this run on the pit straight, and it's looking like Alex, with his setup advantage and the DRS, is going to go for a move on King, and he gets it done. But late braking there from King keeps him ahead.
Well, I tell you,
braking there from King.
I'll tell you who is looking pretty right now, as is that Cassie that's around? It is Cassie around at the back, down to P12, as Clue and Pokerell trade positions here. One person that is in a good spot right now is this man in P3. It is Lifeboat. Look how much ERS he has to play with.
That's Pokerell.
Pokerell is out of this race, and unfortunate there for the man in the Williams. The medium tyres weren't really working, but look how much ERS Lifeboat has to attack at the end of this race. Alex Marciano, obviously he's sitting on around about 30%, but Lifeboat has well over double that.
Yeah, Lifeboat has got ERS to burn here. He's on the button. Alex, if you want to get a move, you got to do it on this next DRS straight, or even the next one. I think he's going to try for it here. He's going to try for it. Going to go around the outside. King.
Oh, here comes Lifeboat.
Nothing
Lifeboat.
to do.
Oh,
Lifeboat.
Oh, a little bit of contact there. Alex Marciano loses the back end. Lifeboat's in the wall. He's out of this race. My God. As we're going to have a drag race to the line. Drag race to the line. Oh, my God. Alex Marciano crosses the line in P1. 4 thousandths of a second between the pair of them as they cross the line. Alex Marciano takes his 3rd race win of the season. King has to settle down for P2. 4 thousandths of a second separated them at the end of that race, and my God, what could have been for Lifeboat? It fell away right at the end there in the final corner, just losing control of the car, and Lifeboat out of this race as Daniel does secure a podium finish once again. So another good result for for Daniel. Lifeboat there, absolutely. I can't do. It's one of them ones. The traction coming out of that final corner just wasn't the one for Lifeboat there. Obviously, getting a little bit unfortunate with what happened in front of him. I believe a bit of a rear end snap from Alex Marciano in the final corner, but my God, as Stretch in the chat saying what a finish. Krypton in the chat saying Chris better than Lifeboat. Bit of ET8 teammate banter right there from Krypton in the chat. But yeah, it is Alex Marciano who takes victory here in Saudi Arabia. He has won here in Jeddah. It is his third race win of the season. The only man to win 3 races so far this season. And with Aguado not here tonight, we will be seeing the championship lead change hands to the man who finished in P2, RCR King. But we'll run you through the order one more time. It is Alex Marciano who takes the race victory by 4 thousandths of a second to King, who comes home in second place with the fastest lap. Daniel will come home completing the podium in P3. Soapbox up into P4, great result for him as Miguel comes through into P5. Aiden in P6 with Clue in 7th place. Aldo in P8 with Tactician scoring points once again in P9, and the Cassie taking that final point paying position in P10. Chris just missing out on the last point paying position in 11th. Then our non-finishers were Lifeboat, Pogaral, Stretch, Fleddy, Nassim and Kampura, who unfortunately those drivers unable to see the end of this race, but absolute heartbreak at the end for Lifeboat. Was on for a podium potential race win as well because of how much ERS he had to play with on the run to the line. Imagine Lifeboat being able to use his ERS on that run to the line. We would have had a freeway drag race at the end there, but it wasn't to be. The traction got the better of Lifeboat and it ended in heartbreak for the man in the Alpha Tauri. But with that, it does bring an end to round number 9 here in Jeddah. And my God, what a race at the end that turned into.
Yeah, it was so close between. It was just so close, and you gotta feel sorry for Lifeboat in the end there because he had a real chance of getting his first win, but like you were saying, the traction just got the better of him, and yeah, it's really unfortunate for Lifeboat. But yeah, Alex gets his first race win back from his little break. He is, of course, like you were saying, the first person to get 3 race wins this season, and you gotta say it's heartbreak for King as well to only be 4 thousandths of a second away from his second race win this season.
Yeah, yes. Honestly, I can't lie. I think if that straight was about 5 meters a bit longer, I think King gets that. I can't lie. That's how close it was. That's how close it was at the end. They literally crossed the line almost at the same time, 4 thousandths of a second between them. But of course, with that, it does bring an end to round number 9. I am going to ask you for your driver of the day.
Oh, I'm going to have to say Alex, just purely because the run of form that he had coming into this race, it wasn't the best, of course, coming back from his break, but to come back with a win in those circumstances, yeah, I've just got to give it to Alex.
Well, I was originally going to give it to Lifeboat, until the final corner, but unfortunately the final corner did happen. So for me, obviously, my second person I was going to give it to is Soapbox, who finished in P4. Obviously, a great race for Soapbox here tonight, and I think he thoroughly deserves my vote for driver of the day. But yeah, of course, that does bring an end to the action here in Saudi Arabia. Of course, make sure you guys tune in to all the rest of the action here in PSGL. I believe we have a lot more races going on right now, so make sure you guys jump on over and check them out. Of course, don't forget, massive thank you to our sponsors at GT Omega. Remember, if you do buy anything off the website, at the checkout, code PSGL for a cheeky little discount right there. And of course, next week we will be going to round number 10. We're going to Mexico.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting race to commentate on.
Yeah, absolutely. Mexico, very well known for penalties, for changeable conditions, and of course that middle sector that can be so unforgiving. But yeah, I mean, Mexico, that is going to be where we're heading off to next week. Hopefully we'll have Aguado back, and we'll see if Aguado has enough in the tank to try and overturn the points advantage now that King has managed to gain on him. And obviously we're going to see how things unfold. Will Alex Marciano pick up back-to-back race wins next week? Time will tell. Will King get his next race win next week in Mexico? Time will tell. But until then, guys, I have been I've been Mike. He has been Quinn, and we'll catch you next week for round number 10 at the Mexican Grand Prix. Until then, guys, good night.
See you.